So now to bring you probably one of the most top stories that we're dealing with right now, probably even more so than Justin Trudeau's resignation, is what's happening in California, because it's absolutely devastating, folks. The fires that are going on right now, it is just absolutely horrible. It's horrific, and my thoughts and prayers go out to all the people of California. They're dealing with this. It's under a state of emergency. They're still dealing with the fires, and it's not helping with the Santa Ana winds that are causing more flames, adding to this chaos, and it is just, it's devastating for that entire state. So, people like Jimmy Dore, for example, Jimmy Dore, uh, big fan of his and the work that he's done, tweeted this out. So he says, from Steph's mom's backyard in Pasadena, which, I send my regards to Jimmy Dore, Steph, and the team out there, obviously in California. I hope for the best out of them. I hope for positive outcomes. I don't know what the situation is at this point, but obviously by the looks of this is, Pasadena, um, the severity is pretty high. So Shadow of Ezra also tweets this out. It says, reports are surfacing of widespread fire insurance cancellations by major companies just weeks before the devastating Los Angeles fires erupted. A frustrated woman criticized California's leadership, revealing that her family's home, insured for decades, recently lost its fire insurance. So she goes on to the ABC outlet in Los Angeles, and she talks about the insurance company shortly before this fire broke out, before the devastation that we're currently witnessing right now, just automatically canceled the insurance. So listen to this.
They've lived in this house for 75 years, and they've had the same insurance, and these insurance people decided to cancel their fire. And we're going through this, and it just happened, and they have no fire insurance.
It's devastating. It's devastating, considering the fact that you're in a state that is prone to wildfires, is prone to fire season. You're talking about basically virtually a desert in California. It is a large state. It does have, snow if you go to the northern part, or it's one of those places where you get almost like four seasons out of one state. But especially in parts of like Southern California, it is very dry. It is very dry. And fires start rapidly. And the fact that they just cut off insurance of these people, and, maybe in the fact that it happens so frequently that insurance companies are just done with it and just don't want to pay off anymore. Whatever the case may be, this is just crazy. The fact that you're paying for insurance, and then all of a sudden, once you need it, they just don't come to help. Kind of very similar to health insurance. Now you understand why people are upset with the insurance agencies. It's not just healthcare. It's pretty much the whole industry of insurance. It gives you peace of mind until you actually need it for something. So here's even ABC News once again. 17,000 Liberty Mutual customers in California to lose fire insurance policy. Here's what you need to know. And it quotes, it saddens me that these companies are just fleeing from California for different reasons. Obviously not really stating what exactly the reason is, but leaving these people high and dry is just insane. So, LA Times, Pacific Palisades fire explodes to nearly 3,000 acres as thousands of residents flee, homes are lost. You can see the picture there. It is just absolutely devastating, and it's still continuing on whenever you're watching this, and it's just, the containment is at 0%. Like I said, the winds are not helping. It's just spreading more of this fire. It's just chaotic to just witness this out in the open. And my heart goes out to all the people of LA and all the people of California that are dealing with this problematic situation. A fire was burning out of control Tuesday in Pacific Palisades, destroying homes and forcing residents to abandon their vehicles and flee amid a potentially life-threatening and destructive windstorm. Wide swaths of Pacific Palisades, Topanga, and Malibu were under an evacuation order by the afternoon as residents fought traffic jams and heavy smoke as they tried to escape the nearby flames. The Palisades fire broke out around 10:30 a.m. near Piedra Morda Drive and was pushed by intense wind gusts that officials have warned could fuel any spark into fast-moving and erratic wildfire. The fire had blackened more than 2,900 acres by 6:30 as it continued to charge southwest. The grounds of the Getty Villa caught fire, as did the campus of Palisades Charter High School. So the Getty Villa, I do believe, is one of the big art institutions in California. So that's a kind of a big loss there. And Pacific Palisades is one of the ritzy areas, so there's a lot of celebrities affected. Uh, it's bad. It's like an inferno, said Lori Libertani, who lives in Pacific Palisades. She saw the fire start to burn on Tuesday morning before evacuating. By 3:30 p.m., about 30,000 residences have been evacuated from 10,000 homes, with no injuries reported, says Los Angeles Police Chief Jim McDonald, at McDonald, I should say, not McDonald, at an afternoon news conference. Firefighters responded to more than half of a dozen calls of residents trapped in buildings throughout the day. Governor Gavin Newsom met with first responders in Pacific Palisades and called the blaze a hell of a way to start a new year, as he urged residents to heed evacuation orders. On Tuesday afternoon, he declared a state of emergency and announced that California had secured a fire management assistance grant to receive federal reimbursement for firefighter costs. But of course, when you have a large prison industrial complex like Kamala Harris as queen pin to that, you're already using private prison labor to fight these wildfires, so you're already saving money in regards to that. The cause of these fire, the cause of the fire remains under investigation. Mass smoke plumes filled the sky around the fire as families evacuate not far from hillsides glowing orange. The blaze quickly jumped across Palisades Drive, according to the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, leaving many trying to evacuate in a precautious and chaotic situation. Some jumped out of their stalled cars to run toward the beach. Others who were unable to get out were forced to return home and shelter in place, residents told the Times. Ellen Deloche Bacher tried to rush home from her downtown Los Angeles, where she heard about the fire, to get to her 95-year-old mother, her mother's caregiver, and her two dogs, but she quickly hit a standstill at Sunset Boulevard and Palisades Drive. Then the fire exploded along the road, and police officers started yelling for people to abandon the cars. "Run for your lives," DeBosch Barker recalled hearing from an officer. She left her keys in the ignition and ran half a mile down the beach. Firefighters could be heard telling dispatchers on radio traffic that as many as 100 abandoned vehicles were blocking the road. Captain Eric Scott, a Los Angeles Fire Department spokesperson, said some homes had burned in the fire, but a precise estimate was not immediately available. The region remains under severe red flag warnings as dry, unpredicted, and strong offshore winds pick up across the area. The National Weather Service said strong north winds were expected around the fire through at least Wednesday, with speeds peaking from 35 to 60 miles per hour between 10 o'clock Tuesday and 5 a.m. Wednesday. It really does look like the worst of this is going to be in the middle of the night, Tuesday night, into early Wednesday morning, said UCLA climate scientist Daniel Swine. It will be quite a widespread event, so this will not be like a Santa Ana wind event where it's windy in the mountains and pretty calm in the urban areas. This one is going to be a doozy. In some parts of Los Angeles and Ventura counties, gusts up to 100 miles per hour are possible as the dangerous storm drags on. Wind speeds had already hit 60 to 70 miles per hour Tuesday in some areas of the eastern Santa Monica Mountains, not far from the fire, according to the National Weather Service. So here's a clip of a bit of the disaster here. You can see this all across social media. Again, my thoughts and prayers and my my positive vibes going out to people in California right now dealing with this. This is obviously just a disaster unfolding into another disaster and just a catastrophic event. Like when you're seeing the images, it looks like a scene directly out of like hell on earth. It's literally just insane. So here's just some example of it.
This was going viral to all over the place. Look at this video. So this was a guy who didn't heed the warning, stayed behind, and look at what happened here. I mean, to be surrounded by flames in all direction with your dog there. So this is not what you want to have happen. So as you know,
do we have an update?
Now, God only knows why this man stayed in his home. I mean, when you're surrounded by flames, when you're completely surrounded, I don't know what people's mindset is to try to ride this out. I don't know what people's idea is to think that, oh, I'm going to, stand by like a captain of a sinking ship. I don't know what people's mindset is, but when you see damages like that, for me, I wouldn't stay around. I would not stay around. I would take these evacuations seriously, considering how dry it is in California, considering that they haven't had rain in many, many months. They know that it's wildfire season. They know how damaging this. And we're also getting reports we're going to get to later on that there's been some troubles obtaining water, which is not really good when you're in a population that deals with constant fires like this. But here's some more
of what happened to
I mean, if he was able to post the video, I hope he ended up being okay. I hope he was able to get out, but I don't have an exact update on what exactly happened.
And this is one of many just heartbreaking visuals that have developed since the Pacific Palisades fire broke out.
Right.
And this is a prime example of why you should leave when they tell you to.
Yeah, it's not a joke. They're not saying it just to say it, and it also it's very selfish, frankly, to stay behind because you're putting potentially firefighters' lives on the line to try to save you, and getting in the way of their ability to save property or do other things.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know what this guy's idea is. I don't know if it's trying to be cool or trying to be viral by, oh, I'm going to stay in my house and take pictures of flames. Click, click. I don't know what the deal is, but if it was me in that regard, I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be there. If you think it's some sort of cool thing to take snapshots of the fires, then do it in a safe distance. Get away from that. Maybe take some pictures of the flames in the hills. I don't know, but don't do it in your own house when you're surrounded by potentially life-threatening flames. That is just insane. It's insanity to do something like that. So now this is also problematic to the situation, adding more fuel to the fire, literally, because of the fact that there's a lack of water in California. And this is more having to do not just with the fact that it's a dry climate, the fact that it's really just a desert for many years, but also the mismanagement of people like Gavin Newsom to the LA mayor that purposely undermine the resource of water and protecting of water in situations like this. And just like what we saw with the fires that happened in Hawaii, in Maui, this trying to conserve the water when there are measures that we could actually be implementing water to make it more flourishing in dry, remote areas like California. There's the water reserves that flow off from the mountains from the snow and the rain coming down the mountains. They could be collecting that in response to stuff like this. It's been going on for so long that this is causing devastation. And of course, if there's any notion of any sort of spark in California, because of how dry it is, because there's a lack of resource of precipitation and water, you're basically putting a match to an open tinderbox. The fact that you're just now putting a blaze to this entire state by the disregard of this. So, LA Times once again, lack of water from hydrants in Palisades fire is hurting firefighting efforts, reports say. As fire rages on across California on Tuesday, some firefighters battling the Palisades fire reported in internal radio systems that hydrants in Pacific Palisades were coming up dry. The hydrants are down, said one firefighter. Water supply just dropped, said another. LA developer Rick Caruso, who owns Palisades Village in the heart of the West Side neighborhood, told the Times he was receiving similar reports from his staff at the shopping center. There's no water in the fire hydrants, Caruso said. The firefighters are there in the neighborhood, and there's nothing they can do. We've got neighborhoods burning, homes burning, and businesses burning. It should never happen. A spokesman for the Department of Water and Power acknowledged reports of diminished water flow from hydrants, but did not have the details on the number of hydrants without water or the scale of the issue. I would say when your entire state is on fire and thousands upon thousands of buildings, acres and acres of infrastructure is being burnt to a crisp and people are evacuating, I think you know the scale. And I think right now is a visual example of how completely dismanaged, a complete lack of regard by the ruling class of California, by people like Gavin Newsom, to the LA mayor, who wasn't even there when the fires were breaking out. The LA mayor, Karen Bass, was over in Africa and knew about the wildfires because she tweeted out the weather reports. She tweeted out the NSW reports that were predicting this fire. And yet she still went over to Africa on taxpayer dollars to honor some country and their presidency that they just elected. Absolute disregard for California. In a statement, the DWP said water crews were working in the neighborhood to ensure the availability of water supplies. This area is served by water tanks, and close coordination is underway to continue supplying the area, the DWP said in its statement. It's unclear how widespread the hydrant issues were or the precise cause. In November, the lack of water from hydrants hurt the effort to combat the mound fire in Ventura County, when 2 water pumps became inactive, slowing the process to deliver hillside water. So, it's just horrible that this keeps going on. It's horrible that they're just allowing California to not only just be the pit of hell that's turned into be, but also now the flames of hell are just burning it to a crisp. And Californians deserve better. People in that state deserve a lot better than Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. Because these are 2 individuals, and I'm sure there's more in the mix, that completely undermine the value of people in that state and just don't give a damn about anything. And are letting it burn to a crisp for their own whatever psychotic mind. And it almost just seems, and I'm not vouching for this, but it almost seems very similar to what happened in Maui. Just saying. The water came up short. And they had people saying, well, we got to conserve the water and we're looking for rationing out things and blah, 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 blah. Seems like another chapter in that playbook just being rolled out in California. So here's a map of what's happening right now currently, um, as we are speaking right now, I'm just watching some of the stream right now of uh of an LA news outlet, and it has spread into obviously the Sunset Boulevard, very well-known road in California. You could see there the trajectory of this. This is mostly Pacific Palisades, which is between Malibu and Santa Monica, but it's also increased into Pasadena, where you saw with Jimmy Dore's tweet. In Altadena, it's also spread into a lot of the Hollywood Hills, which is affecting a lot of celebrities. Folks, it's just absolutely chaotic. It's absolutely chaotic. And to think this happens so frequently to the point that insurance companies are just now, wiping themselves off and ditching town, saying, screw you guys, I'm going home. In a time like this, and the resources are just getting swept away from the people that need it. And these firefighters that are, working endlessly to put out this blaze, and you have the horrificness of the policies of Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass and so many other people that are just letting this burn to a blaze for their own psychotic mindset. I can't even imagine what they're thinking in their inability to react to this, and just letting this entire state burn to a crisp is just devastating. Regardless of how you feel about California, regardless if you say, oh, well, it's a blue state and they got what they got. I've seen people tweeting that. My heart goes out to these people. My heart goes out to people of California. They don't deserve this. They do not deserve this. And, maybe Donald Trump was onto something when he talked about the mismanagement of forests, when he talks about how water reserves, you can get the rainwater and snow melting from the northern part and bring it downstream to make it more nourishing, to make it more pleasantful, not make it a dry tinderbox in California. You could bring that water and bring reservoirs down to the people that need it. It seems like a smart, simple idea that got out of hand, got out of way, and now it's just the worst of the worst. So be safe out there. Let's hope for the best. But it seems like it's going to get worse from here. And all I can really say is, take your family, take your necessities, and try to find some shelter. Try to find safety in these dark, devastating times, because, looking at the images, it does literally look like the fires of hell that just broke out in massive swaths across California.